Chad McEvoy is a candidate for Assembly in the 101st Assembly District. That is the district currently held by Assemblyman Brian Miller, who is running against Chad. I will tell you that I do work for Brian Miller, commercial work for Brian. Chad is on the line right now. Good morning, sir. Chad is the Democrat, and good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Boy, are you running, or what's going on?
Absolutely.
Well, you're running. I know you're running. You sounded a little bit out of breath. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, sorry.
Okay, and you're back. Okay, so tell us, there was an OD story on Friday. You're challenging some of the financials with your opponent, Brian Miller. Explain what the issue is for you.
Yeah, sure. And there's a couple issues that are similar and overlapping, but they're also distinct at the same time. So it's worth kind of paying attention to the details. There was 6 constituents that filed a complaint, and that is that there is one donor in the 2016 cycle who is $4,700 over the legal limit. And on one level, it's as simple as that.
Okay, explain that again to me. Can you say that again?
All right, there's one donor who is $4,700 over the legal limit as of the last election cycle, 2016, and those still have not been has not been resolved.
And is there a difference, though, that so this is Mike Waterman, right, who works for Brian Miller? So the question would be, what are the legalities of a loan versus a donation?
A loan converts to a gift at the end of the election cycle. And we know that the Waterman family loaned $17,000 to Mr. Miller in the 2016 cycle, which alone is kind of weird considering that Mr. Waterman was then hired with taxpayer dollars, and those loans were never paid back. So to me, that's got a shady sort of patronage look to it, right? But on top of that, he also gave, Mr. Waterman himself gave $4,000 in in-kind donation services, counts the same as cash, and $1,000 cash in the 2016 election cycle. This is according to Mr. Miller's public reporting, right? So that puts Mr. Waterman $4,700 over the legal campaign finance limit for 2016. All that money is still on the books. So either Mr. Miller's filing is wrong and he should correct it, or he needs to pay him back the $4,700. So, and this probably should be looked into a little further because who knows what else is kind of hiding in there.
Well, I know Brian, and as I said, I'm probably closer to this than I'm comfortable with right now in this topic. But at the same time, he's not a shady guy. I just want to tell you that. But I would like to get someone on from the
valid question, though.
I understand, and that's why we're talking to Chad.
Yeah.
But I would like to get someone on from the Board of Elections because this part is over my head. I don't know what the law is, and I do know though that campaigns oftentimes lend themselves or someone lends to the campaign, and when the cycle concludes, that does carry over. They can take quite a while to pay themselves back or pay someone else back. The question is what you're saying, does it have any truth to it?
Yeah, it can't total up to be something in excess of the campaign finance limits once it carries over into the next election. That's my understanding of the law. Legislators should follow the law, right?
Well,
so
again,
I think that something needs to be fixed there for sure.
So have you filed the complaint with the Board of Elections or whoever handles complaints like this?
I didn't file it personally. The people, the 6 constituents listed on the complaint filed it with the Board of Elections and the Attorney General, I believe, to spur an investigation there.
So you didn't do anything with the Board of Elections? You've gone to the Attorney General for this?
And both. My understanding is both.
Okay.
It wasn't me, by the way.
He's saying
I knew about it,
your constituents.
But,
yeah.
So, all right. So what we'll do again, I can't. I don't know. I don't know what the law is and what the rules are in regards to this. But I will tell you that we'll get somebody on that will get through the whole thing.
You should. And I think it doesn't seem like Mr. Miller knows the rules and the laws on this either, and so I think he should definitely look into it. I don't think it's right that he's got an overage like that. It's not fair, obviously, to my campaign, and furthermore, it's not fair to Maria Kelso, who he ran against in the Republican primary. And remember, this was the man's first entrance into state-level politics, and I feel like there's a little bit of a taint on it because of all this. that should be sorted out. And let's not forget, this is, there's sort of a pattern here. I know he seems like a perfectly nice person, but there's the appearance of impropriety of this giant loan from one family that he then seemingly appears to pay back by hiring the person with taxpayer dollars. There's also the arrest of a legislative staffer for forgery, arrest by the state troopers for forgery related to getting Miller on the Conservative Party line.
That staffer was I don't believe he was fired. He might have had to. He was fired ultimately. We covered that last year.
That's like the minimum thing that should have been done is firing the person who's on.
But in fairness, Chad, and again, I don't want to be because I do work for Brian, and I don't want to get into an argument with you about this. But in fairness, we questioned Brian Miller about that. He had no clue. How do you prevent a staffer from going out and forging people's names? And then when you catch the staffer, you dismiss them. What else would that campaign be supposed to do? What else would Brian Miller do?
Well, what's a touch curious about it is that the staffer appears to have collected exactly 73 signatures, and I think maybe all of them are forged. 73 turns out to be the exact number of signatures necessary to get on that party line. This is a 22-year-old guy. I kind of have a feeling he was told to get that many signatures, and maybe his job depended on it.
Well, I probably had to go out. He's volunteering, which is separate than being a staffer. And it is customary for a staffer to volunteer. You just can't do it when you're on the payroll at that very time. If you're on the clock, if you will.
Yeah.
But,
well,
all right. Fair
regardless,
enough.
I think it shows kind of if it's a sloppiness or some sort of skirting of the rules. I don't think any of this necessarily is corruption, but it sure seems corruption adjacent to me. And that is an issue that comes up when I talk to voters all the time. I probably knocked on 1,000 doors since January. And maybe the very first thing that people say is like, what are you going to do about corruption in Albany? Last night at an event, the only thing someone came up to me to say was like, be careful who you get in bed with. So you can, and he meant politically, of course. And the thing about that is, this sort of like sense, even just the appearance of impropriety by our elected officials is what drives people away from politics, away from caring, and away from being engaged in things. And of course, both sides of the aisle do it. The Democrats are plenty guilty of things like this in New York State as well.
Well, there's no.
I'm brand new to politics, and I want to bring something new to the table.
All right.
And I'm a little outraged by some of these things.
So, Chad, I will tell you this. We'll look further into this. I'll try to get somebody on tomorrow from maybe the Board of Elections, somebody who knows the finance end of this and can dig in. And I'm assuming we'll have you on again before the election.
Sure, I'd love to be on. And I want to invite anyone who wants to call me on my cell phone to chat about these things. It's 607-463-0860, or they can go to chad101.com if they want to learn more about the campaign, because it's also about issues, of course.
And and thanks for the song, too. We really enjoyed
your
it.
Your jingle
All right, I'm glad you like it.
Will you be campaigning up here? We'd love to have you in studio sometime.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm up in the New Hartford area, so the district goes all the way to New Hartford,
sure,
but not quite to Utica. Mm-hmm. And I'm up in the area on a pretty regular basis. Especially if you do you ever do shows on the weekend? It works a little better that way.
Yeah, we don't. I don't. But it'd have to be during the week. But either way, and believe me, you probably don't know. New Hartford is like adjacent to Utica.
Yeah,
so
I mean, they touch their borders.
This gerrymandering, this district is really one of the worst districts. You want to talk about corruption? It's really what they did to Claudia Tenney by creating this district. Which stretches all the way down, as you know, to Orange County. It's crazy.
I agree. It's something that is designed to make it incredibly difficult to have a competitive election.
Yeah.
I have to, fight my way upstream to make this a fair fight. And the result of that is that everyone, including, Republicans who already have an elected official for their seat, get, I think, less representation. They get a representative who works less hard to keep his seat because it's less competitive, and that's just bad for democracy.
Yeah, and you do realize that it had nothing to do. It's not like Claudia Tenney asked for this district. Brian Miller didn't ask for this district. It is what they did as it really, the word is, it was punishment
to Claudia.
And,
yeah. I actually met her at an event recently in New Hartford, and she told me all about it. It was a really interesting story.
Yeah, crazy.
She blames the Assembly Republicans for doing it.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah, that
true.
it was her own party.
It wasn't the Democrats.
That's the
that did it.
story, man. That's
all
the
right.
story.
Packing all the Republicans in one district.
I'm out of time. We'll be checking in with Brian Miller as well, and we'll get you back, Chad. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Okay.